to call the September 22nd, 2020 council meeting to order, and I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Dr. Lee,
Here.
Mrs. Walden,
Here.
Ms. Shinholster,
Here.
Mr. Reynolds,
Here.
Mr. Mullins,
Here.
Mr. Chambers.
Here.
All right, we do have a quorum present. As always with our normal Zoom meeting, I waive the right for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask you all to have a word of prayer with me. Gracious God, we thank you on tonight for your so many wonderful works. We thank you for how you are continuously keeping your mighty hand upon us through all that we're seeing, through this pandemic, through the deaths, through actions beyond our control. We just thank you on tonight for you being God and God alone. And so as I say this prayer, I ask you, as always, to continue to look upon all of us elected officials, that we continue to do the right thing for your people. I ask that you continue to bless each and every home. I ask you continue to bless our first responders, our health heroes, our educational heroes. Just continue to cover us from the national all the way back down to the local. It is these and many more prayers we ask in your name. Amen.
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 All right. We don't have any awards or presentations tonight. You all have received a copy of the September 8th, 2020 council meeting minutes. Are there any corrections? Do I hear a motion to adopt the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Dr. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. Walden, Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers.
Aye.
The September 8th, 2020 minutes are adopted as official. As you remember from the last meeting, we had the first reading of an ordinance amending the budget to eliminate an equipment operator and add a tree surgeon in the Public Works Department. After discussion, clarifications were made to the ordinance, and that is the version we have presented here tonight for adoption. Do I hear a motion to adopt the ordinance as presented?
So moved.
Is there any discussion?
I need a second. I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Who made the
Ms.
second?
Walden.
Mr. Steve made it, I
Who
think.
made the second?
I did. Lee.
Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry.
Is there any discussion? I don't know. Were you saying something? Okay.
That's all right.
I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Dr. Lee, Mrs. Walden, Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted as official. That concludes the old business. I will move on to new business, and I'll ask the clerk to read by caption as a first read, ordinance O-2009-06, granting the special use overlay for 210 North Jefferson Street.
This is first reading of ordinance O-2009-06, an ordinance amending the ordinance passed and adopted on the 10th day of December 2002, known as the Land Development Code of the City of Milledgeville, Georgia. Ordinance grants a special use for the group residence overlay at 210 North Jefferson Street.
All right, at this time, the ordinance is assigned to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Next, we have the first reading of ordinance O-2009-07. that would amend our code of ordinance to establish a work session prior to the second meeting of the month as a regularly scheduled meeting of City Council. I will ask the clerk to read the ordinance by caption as a first read.
An ordinance to amend Article 2, Section 2-31 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Milledgeville, Georgia, to schedule work sessions on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month at 5:30 p.m.
This is scheduled to come back to us for discussion and action at our first meeting in October. Okay. I will ask the clerk to read Resolution R-2009-38 by caption. This resolution extends temporary sidewalk dining. Mr. Bowe.
A resolution to extend the terms and provisions of Resolution R-2-005-27, allowing temporary sidewalk dining and alcohol consumption in designated public areas of the City of Milledgeville, and to reinforce the application procedure and eligibility criteria.
You have heard the resolutions. Is there any discussion?
I have a question for the city manager. None of the provisions of the, have changed very much, have they? Or are
For temporary sidewalk dining, none of them have changed at all, no
there?
ma'am.
Okay, good. That's what I was thinking as I read it, that it hadn't.
We
but I
just needed to extend the deadline some more.
Okay.
And we're going to December 30th. We could have done 31st, but we decided to do 30th. And during that time, I'm going to be in some discussions with DOT to see what might be necessary to make this permanent. If y'all want to do that, and I'll bring that information to you between now and December 30th to see if we
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? All right, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
I need a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll, clerk.
Dr. Lee? Dr. Lee?
You're muted.
Dr. Lee?
I got it.
Muted.
Miss Walden?
She's got it on me.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Mr. Mullins?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
This is a little weird. The next resolution, resolutions lay the path for
Watching you from
extending
behind tonight.
the walking, biking, and exercise trail along Fishing Creek as a part of a Department of Transportation Enhancement grant that was awarded to the Oconee River Greenway Authority. The first resolution authorizes the City of Milledgeville to act as the governmental administering agency on behalf of the Oconee River Greenway Authority. And the second authorizes an agreement between the city and Santec Consulting Services to act as a construction management administrator of the grant. I will ask the clerk to read the resolution, Resolution R-2009-39 by caption, please.
A resolution to authorize an intergovernmental agreement with the Oconee River Greenway Authority for the City of Milledgeville to administer a Georgia Department of Transportation Enhancement grant to establish trails along Fishing Creek at the Oconee River Greenway.
All right, you have heard the resolution. Is there any discussion?
Exactly where is that trail, the Fishing Creek Trail, exactly where is that going to come out, Mr. Griffith?
For this particular section of the trail, Ms. Walden, it will begin at Wilkinson Street and then exit the trail proper just behind Flag Chapel Lane and then come up Flag Chapel Lane to Franklin Street. And Georgia College has agreed to put sidewalk on the right-of-way on Franklin Street from that intersection down to the Centennial Center parking lot, so that anyone using the trail that wants to get to the Centennial Center or even over to Central City Park and traverse the Centennial Center parking lot to get over to Green Street to get to Central City Park. This section was originally supposed to go to a trailhead that would be at Central City Park, kind of across from Harrington Drive. But the money became available to the Greenway Authority a little bit quicker than they anticipated, and they would not have had time to deal with the railroad to go under that trestle. And at that time, the previous city manager gave them permission to redo the scope of work for the trail to bring it up Flag Chapel Lane to Franklin Street.
So Hank, they're going to, when it says it's establish walking and biking trails, they're going to put like a sidewalk or how, what's the plan for that?
If y'all remember, the city was awarded in 2017.
Right, it's been a
The
while.
city was awarded a recreational trails program grant to extend, well, let me back up even further than that. The Greenway Authority in 2015 was awarded a recreational trails program grant through DNR to extend the trail from the Greenway itself to Elbert Street. And that trail is there now, but it's what's called an unimproved surface. It's basically crush and run. The RTP grant that the city has will extend the trail from Elbert Street to Wilkinson Street.
Right, that's,
And it will be another unimproved surface trail because of the amount of the money that's there. The Greenway Authority's TE grant will fund the trail from Wilkinson Street up Flag Chapel Lane, and it is anticipated that that grant will also be able to pave everything from Flag Chapel Lane back to where it connects with the Greenway Trail, so it will all be concrete.
okay.
It'll be concrete surface.
So it'll
correct.
and that's where it'll connect with the one that goes. Am I right? Under the bridge there, Piggly Wiggly, right
That's
there.
correct, that's
Wilkinson
correct.
Street, that's
The
where it'll
city's
start.
RTP is bringing it from
And-
the Elbert Street Bridge to the Wilkinson Street Bridge, and then the TE grant that Orca has will go from Wilkinson Street to Flag Chapel Lane.
Okay.
And that
We have one easement left to get for our RTP portion, and that is in the works now. Piggly Wiggly has basically said that they're willing to actually donate the property that's necessary for the easement for that, because it doesn't matter to them. But they're gonna need to do that through the Greenway Foundation, who will then deed it to the city.
I
And
know we talked a lot when they were planning this thing. We talked a lot about safety concerns and about maintenance
Right.
for that particular trail. I mean, what has when they deed it over to the city, that means the city's going to be required to keep the bushes, keep brush cut back and everything. Because I mean, I know where you're talking about, and I traveled that route many a day as a young child walking through the woods, but. Now it's so grown up, and I just, I know how quickly brush can. So we're going to be tasked to maintain that trail.
Well, the what's being deeded to the city is just the RTP part for us, and we will be required to maintain that section of the trail. The trail from Wilkinson Street to Flag Chapel Lane, for the most part, follows the sewer easement that we already maintain because of it being the sewer easement. So I see some overlap there. What I would hope, and Mr. Reynolds can probably speak to this better than I can, I anticipate and would hope that some of the Greenway Foundation volunteers would also help with maintaining those trails, just like they do the Greenway at the actual.
Well, I know a portion of the Greenway is maintained. The actual Greenway is maintained by Georgia Military College, and I guess I'm just really concerned about that ending up being a future expense for
And
the
we actually
city.
maintain part of the Greenway too, based on the agreement
Right.
you all
right.
passed a couple of weeks ago. So it can, that's been a very, quite frankly, a very frank discussion between all of the entities that before, and this TE grant was applied for back in, you'll see in the IGA, back in 2015. And since then, the conversations have been partly that we don't need to build any more trail until we have a maintenance agreement. And
Right,
figure out who's
right,
gonna-
and that's what
who's
I'm
gonna
saying. It
maintain
sounds like the song that never ends, and that's why I'm concerned about it, because the more we open up and build, the more costly it's going to be for the city. And then, of course, there is the very real concern about safety with someone, because that can be a lonely section from Wilkinson Street to Flags Chapel by the way of the river.
By the way of the creek, it is a very lonely section.
Yes, I know. So I'm just really concerned about that. If I was a cyclist, I just, I'm just leery of that as far as safety is concerned.
I think the majority of the people will be using it during the daytime. Not
Mm-hmm.
that necessarily guarantees your safety, but I think it gives you an extra piece of safety in
Yeah.
that situation. But it will not be lighted.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be nothing encouraging people to use it after dark.
After dark,
But
okay.
I understand exactly where you're.
Yeah, I'm just, it's just, that's a little bit frightening, but, okay. I mean, I know we've received the
And I know we
funding for it.
I know we can't necessarily hang our hat on it, but
Mm-hmm.
national statistics actually show that once areas have trails running through them, from a crime standpoint, they become safer.
Okay,
That's really what they have found out with the trail system in Atlanta that has gone through the old Fourth Ward and all those there, the Belt Line in Atlanta. So the statistical average is on our side in that regard, but of course we would not ever say that it would be.
of course, yeah, and in comparing it to the number of people that live in that area
Right.
in the Fourth Ward in Atlanta, that there's a very big difference.
There's a
between what
good
they
bit of
have.
traffic on that section of the trail that's going to be built between Wilkinson Street and Memory Hill Cemetery, because that's where ARF is, and that's the area where they
Right,
go walk the animals
right.
and stuff. So
They
there's a
do.
good bit of traffic down there during the day.
Okay,
It's once you get over behind Memory Hill Cemetery up to Flag Chapel Lane that it could get a little bit in Never Never Lane.
okay. That's all I had. I was just concerned about that.
All right, any other discussion? Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Did we lose everybody else?
I put him to sleep.
I think Ms. Walden answered to it.
Mr. Reynolds said so.
Somebody said so.
You're ready for me to go.
Okay. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll. You have it, ma'am?
Dr. Lee? He's not.
Are they here?
Ms. Walden?
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster?
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Mr. Mullins?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
Did you see Dr. Lee's mouth
I
move?
did not see it, but
Okay.
I
Give us
sensed
the. There you go.
I heard that one.
I don't know if the system is muting you or what, but every time I look up, you're muted. So
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to send her a text and tell her to unmute her.
that's what I did. I sent her a message through Zoom to.
All right, then the resolution is adopted as official. I'll ask the clerk to read Resolution R-2009-40 by caption, please.
A resolution authorizing an agreement with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated to administer on behalf of the Oconee River Greenway Authority and the City of Milledgeville a transportation enhancement grant awarded by the Georgia Department of Transportation to the Oconee River Greenway Authority to provide contract administration services for Fishing Creek Trail Project.
All right, you all have heard the resolution. Is there any discussion? Do I hear a motion to adopt the resolution as presented?
Move. Second.
Did you get it, Mr. Denuza?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Dr. Lee,
Aye.
Mrs. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted as official. At this time, I will recognize the city manager, Hank Griffith, for his report.
I just want to, you all know this information from what I was emailing you and texting you all over the weekend as we dealt with this, but I just want to kind of summarize the issues that we had out at Central State this past weekend and continue to have a little bit of issue with, and then talk to you about a quote that we have received to try to help rectify, or not help, but to in fact rectify that situation out there. And to give you the opportunity to ask me any questions if you had any. But around 3:30 Thursday, we started getting notices, Thursday, September 17th, we started getting notices and reports that they were having low water pressure at Baldwin State Prison, Riverbend Correctional Institute, which is a GO facility, and the Cook Building. And of course, that got the utility maintenance group and Rob Haddon, the water and sewer director, out on that location to try to see if they could figure out what was happening. And the determination was made, really without being able to see it, that most likely one or both of the lines that cross Camp Creek and serve that area of the Central State Hospital campus, for lack of a better description, had most likely broken. And that was the case. They found out on Monday, once the creek waters receded enough, that one of those lines crossing Camp Creek, kind of down behind the old men's prison unit, if you know that area, the water based on the creek flooding had washed some trees away from the banks, and a tree had hit this line and completely broken it. But that could not be determined until the water receded. I shared with y'all that we were going to make an emergency tap on a county main that actually came down Vincent Highway and up, Carl Vinson Road and up Laying Farm Road on Friday afternoon. That attempt was made up until about 3:30 Saturday morning, and the city line that, according to the maps that had been left with us with the CSH water system, that ran somewhere through the hayfield on the south end of Baldwin State Prison, was not able to be located. And the area is so large, a typical locate would not work there. They brought 2 or 3 locators out and tried to hook to hydrants and the valves, and the locate signal just would not stretch far enough to be able to locate the pipe. We regrouped after daylight on Saturday morning, and around 11 o'clock, the Georgia Department of Corrections asked if it would be possible for them to run a new line through that field, tap on to the county temporarily, and then tap onto our line on the other side of the line that they ran, and service and put the valves in necessary to service them and the GEO facility. I talked with county personnel, Chairman Craig, asked the Georgia Department of Corrections maintenance person that we were dealing with out there to send that request to us informal request in an email. They did that. We put together some requirements that they needed to agree to in order to do that. They agreed to those. And that pipe was run on Sunday, and I shared that information with y'all via the email Sunday morning. So about 8:30 Sunday night, that started providing water to Baldwin State Prison and the GO facility. And after that side of the system got equalized, then on Monday morning, the utility maintenance crew and Robert again were able to go out and locate the second line that crosses the creek. It had not been damaged as maybe was initially thought. And since only half of that system or that area, basically the cook building and the food distribution unit, had to be serviced, and they were able to open up some valves and service those units because the Baldwin State Prison and GO was being serviced off of the temporary tap to the county. So that's a lot of information and a lot of hours in about 5 minutes. But what that brought about was the need, obviously, to repair the broken line that crosses the creek. We do not have the equipment to get to that line. We do not have the equipment to lay the new line that will be necessary to repair it. So 3 contractors were contacted, and one came forward and gave us the price. That price is a price not to exceed $70,000 to repair the creek crossing, move the creek crossing, create a new creek crossing in a place that is near a bridge that we have in order to get to a pump station, put a valve on each side of that creek crossing so we can better isolate if we need to in the future, and then run new pipe to the point where it connects into the city's main near the back of GO Prison, which would then service what is currently being serviced by the temporary tap to the county. So I say all of that, Mayor, to ask if it would be possible to amend the agenda tonight to have council consider the $70,000 repair so that we can get that done. Most likely it's about a 7-day job, weather permitting, and we really need to go ahead and get that started so that we can get off the county temporary tap on as quickly as possible, and we can serve that area of our system again.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to amend the agenda and to add a resolution that would authorize an emergency agreement with Fortis Engineering Solutions to repair a water main supplying the Central State Hospital campus?
Move we amend the agenda.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Did you get that, Mr. J? Is there any discussion? All right, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll. There being none.
Dr. Lee? Ms. Walden?
Aye.
Ms. Holster?
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds?
Aye.
Mr. Mullins?
Aye.
Mr. Chambers?
Aye.
All right, the agenda is amended. Do I hear a motion to authorize the clerk to draft a resolution that authorizes an agreement with Fortis Engineering Solutions, Inc. to make an emergency repairs to a water main supplying the Central State Hospital?
We have the resolution.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we don't have the resolution, we're just drafting one?
Mr. Griffith, can you answer that? Do we have the resolution?
Resolution would be drafted based on us getting the final contract for the quote that we received by email this morning for the $70,000.
Well, that's kind of like putting the cart before the horse, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what we need is
I'm not gonna do
we need a resolution. It doesn't have to be a written resolution tonight, but it needs to be a resolution that authorizes this emergency repair in an amount not to exceed $70,000 with whatever company that we are going to be doing business with, and authorizing the mayor to sign whatever contract
I was going to say
that there is going to be associated with that job.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve a contract with the designated contractor for emergency repairs in the amount of up to $70,000.
Who's stating, excuse me, but who's stating the resolution? Where's the resolution? Is that the resolution that you stated, Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, except we need to state who that contractor is.
Right, that's what I'm saying, and that makes that resolution very vague. It needs to state who the contractor is, it needs to state the amount up to, and then it also needs to state that the mayor will be authorized to sign on behalf of that.
Correct. Can you clean that up a little bit, Mr. Reynolds?
I'd be more than happy to. What was the final name of the approved contractor?
Fortis is the contractor, Mr. Reynolds.
Fortis. Very well. I withdraw my previous motion and make a motion to approve, to allow the mayor to approve a contract with Fortis Contracting for the emergency repairs of the water mains in an amount not to exceed $70,000.
Well done and second.
All right, you all have heard the motion. Is there any further discussion?
The only thing that I would say was that he said authorize a contract, but we're authorizing a resolution. Am I right or wrong?
Right,
Mr.
according to Mr. Jordan, he said we need to draft a new.
Right, so we're authorizing a resolution. Can you assign a number to that resolution, Bo, or do you?
Well, that's a good question. Yes, I can, but is that just done by motion or?
No, you can go ahead and assign a resolution number to the motion that Mr. Reynolds just made.
And the resolution is approving the mayor to sign the contract.
Right, the
correct?
resolution is approving it, not the
Correct.
contract
With those
itself.
terms, with that company and up to $70,000.
Right.
And I guess that's what the terminology. So now I will actually write a resolution that outlines all of that, just as
Right.
if we'd had it for a week,
Yeah.
correct?
Right.
Well, yeah, or I can write it up, Bo. It doesn't.
No, sir, I can do it. I think that's why we use the terminology of a resolution, was because we would put what you agreed to.
As if you were doing a standard resolution that we already had. And that's why I was asking for a resolution number.
We didn't just get this morning,
Right.
which.
And Bo, when you get that typed up, would you please put a copy in all of our boxes?
Oh, yes, ma'am. It'll be with the minutes as well. So
Okay.
this will be Resolution R 2009-41.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, Mr. Denuza, please call the roll for us.
Let me write that down.
Okay.
Dr. Lee, Ms. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers.
Aye.
All right, the resolution is approved. We don't have any alcohol license applications to present tonight, but I would like to announce that I have appointed Ms. Carrie Jarrett to serve as an alternate member on the Ethics Committee. Finally, we have a closed session to discuss a personnel matter and potential litigation. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Dr. Lee,
Aye.
Mrs. Walden,
Aye.
Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Aye.
Mr. Mullins,
Aye.
Mr. Chambers.
Aye.
Okay, at this time, we will officially go into closed session. We'll just ask all of our attendees in session to please leave the area right now. Mr. Bars. All right, so at this time, we're gonna, did I miss something?
We lost Miss Walden.
Well,
But she was here most of the time.
yes,
Yes.
So I'm not counting her
okay.
being absent in the meeting, okay.
All right, so at this time, we're returning back into open session, convening on our closed session. Can I have a motion to return back to open session?
So moved.
Second.
I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Dr. Lee,
Aye.
Miss Walden is not back. Ms. Shinholster,
Aye.
Mr. Reynolds,
Here.
Mr. Mullins,
Here.
Mr. Chambers.
Here.
All right, well, there is nothing else. This concludes the items on tonight's agenda. Is there anything else that need to be brought before this body? And I want to say thank you for the phone calls in reference to and well wishes on the death on both sides of my family. Miss Denise's mom's sister passed and her
Brother.
brother passed as well.
My mom's
So let's keep each other lifted up and be there for one another. Just call and say if you need anything. Is there nothing else to be said? I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned. I haven't did that in so long.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.